First Baptist Cave Spring, it's been a month and a half since our church had to move all of our services online because of the coronavirus. And I want us to consider first how good God has been through that past month and a half. It's been a difficult time and a trying time and a time none of us would have chosen to go through. But God has used this time to allow us to see the ministry of the church continue in difficult circumstances. We've grown in community. We've grown in relationships with one another. But most importantly, we've been able to continue to fulfill the mission of the church by proclaiming the gospel, growing closer to Jesus through study of his word and through prayer and through community, and adoring God through worship in this time. It's been a testimony that the Church of First Baptist Cave Spring will be able to look back on for generations to come and say, God was good to us through that time. It was a difficult time, but God showed us that the mission of the church is far bigger than any type of hurdle that could be thrown at it by a broken and sinful world. Now we're at a time where we're beginning to look and explore what will it be like for us to come back into something that's approaching normal again. And for us specifically, when can we resume our physical meeting together? Well, after speaking with the deacons and after being advised by Governor Kemp as he's released a plan for the reopening of the state of Georgia, and also receiving some guidance from the Georgia Baptist Convention, First Baptist Cave Spring, the deacons and myself have met, and we've decided that beginning on May the 10th, we will begin meeting again for Sunday morning worship, though we will not have Sunday school or any midweek activities or Sunday night activities. And as I'll discuss in a moment, even that Sunday morning worship service is going to look quite a bit different. I want to make a couple of things very clear. First, we know that it won't be the time for everyone to return to the service. In fact, we're encouraging our members who are particularly at risk for coronavirus to continue worshiping only through the online format at this time as far as your participation in congregational worship. When we say at risk, we're including those who are senior adults as well as those who are suffering from chronic illness or who have a recent illness that makes them particularly vulnerable to coronavirus. We also know that some families won't feel that it's the right time for them to return to the church. And if that's your decision, then we as a church and the leadership of the church honor and respect that. And for that reason, we will continue streaming our services live every Sunday morning. We will go back to a live stream beginning on May the 10th, and the service will be available on Facebook at 11 o'clock and will be housed on Facebook as a video so you can watch it at your convenience after that time. So we know that it's not the time for everyone to return. This is different than what many of us thought would happen. I and many others were hoping that once this was lifted, the entire church could return and we'd have this grand reunion and celebration. But that's not what it's wise for us to do at this time. We want to continue to protect the health and the lives of our congregation, even as we move forward into physically meeting again. Some people might ask, well, why then are we meeting together at all? Why would we take any sort of risk on this? That's because as we've looked at what was happening, one of the things we've looked to all along is to see when will our government officials say that it's once again healthy to return to places like restaurants or other places of public gathering. We feel that it's a very important testimony to our congregation and to our community that if it's okay to be in a restaurant, then it's time to have the option of returning to church, even if it's not the right time for everyone. Some others might ask, well, Pastor Corey, when can we get back to normal? When can we go back to having our Wednesday night services, our physical meetings in Sunday school, and all the other things that we enjoy doing and are ministered to and ministered through at First Baptist Cave Spring? That's a great question. The truth is I don't have an answer as far as when it will be safe, but I can tell you what the church is looking at. We're going to continue paying very close attention to the recommendations that are coming out from the government officials. We're paying very close attention to the recommendations of healthcare professionals. That includes those that are with the Georgia Department of Health, our community healthcare professionals, and even healthcare professionals within our own congregation and close to our congregation. We're also looking at what's going to happen with the public schools and public programs as we move forward with the summer. We're going to look at some of these other indicators to see when it would be safe for us to restart our other programs, especially things like Wednesday nights. For the time being, on Sunday mornings, we will only have an 11 o'clock service. We're going to have several additional measures in place to make sure that we can do everything within our power to protect those who attend those services. This will include things like cordoning off particular parts of the building so that we can limit what we're cleaning and do a really great job of cleaning the areas that will be used. We're going to encourage people to use our facilities at the church, including bathroom facilities, to the minimum degree possible, though we will have the bathrooms in the back hallway in the old part of the building open for anyone who needs them on Sunday mornings. On Sunday mornings, we're going to ask that people maintain social distancing throughout the service. We're going to assist with that by blocking off every other pew, and we're encouraging people to sit in a pew and only people from a particular household to sit in that pew, unless there's other family members from other households that you're already seeing on a regular basis who attend the church. We're going to be doing some simple things like removing our hymn books and removing our pew Bibles through this time, because that cuts down on things that we handle that could contribute to the spread of coronavirus or any other type of virus. We're going to not have choir practice. We won't have our children's church. We won't have our time of welcome and greeting, and we'll be putting the offering plate on the back table rather than passing the offering plate. Some of these things aren't ideal, but they're what's necessary through this time. Here's the last word of encouragement. That is that God has always been sovereign over coronavirus. And just as he was sovereign when we first found out about this and made the, at that time, unprecedented and unthinkable step of suspending our worship services, God is still sovereign. As we come back together, we're going to be as wise as possible. We're going to look at every bit of information out there. We're going to lead the congregation wisely, but most importantly, we're going to trust in the sovereignty of God. He's been good to us so far, and he will continue to be good to us. Church, if you have any questions, please let me know. Your deacon will be reaching out to you within the next week. Please talk to your deacon if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and I pray that God continues to bless you and to bless all of us at First Baptist Cave Spring.